So let's continue this review series with the homemade brand by Miniature Sweet. Fits in this little Ziploc baggie. And unfortunately this is a really small amount, so it's only as long as my fingers and as thick as my fingers, so it won't last as long. So this clay is rather moist. So as far as I can tell, there are no fibers visible whatsoever, so that's really cool. Let's try another piece. Nope. I mean, if you stretch it, you can see fibers. Let me try if I can make a really thin sheet by stretching. Yeah, you can see the fibers here. It looks like spider webs, really old spider webs. It's so creepy. But when you rip it, like when you rip a piece off, there are no fibers visible. We will see if you can see fibers like when you cut it. So what else is there to it? So it's really soft. It's a little softer than the Hearty and the Tensinendo, the angel clay. So it's really easy to work with it, and it's really stretchy. It's so much fun working with this clay. So I'm hoping, since this is not like squishy and it's very stretchable, that I will be able to roll out snakes with it, so I can actually like test the durability of like thin snakes. Okay, so let's get right into making the sheets. This is also really white clay, you can tell here. So again, this is a little warmer color than the sheet of paper, but still is very bright white again. But again, be careful. This clay does stick to paper, although it doesn't leave any residue as the Hearty and angel clay. The sides are really smooth also. So with the angel clay and the Hearty clay, there were little cracks here, but this is really smooth, so that's cool. And still, even the thin stuff comes off the work surface really easily, so there's no problem with that. The surface of this stuff is smooth, so the others had a little texture to them, but this one doesn't at all. So let's turn to making the donut. I did notice that it kind of like shrinks back together a little bit again, like what is it called? Yeast dough, I think. Like stuff that you make rolls with, you know. So it does like go back together again a little bit. I don't know if you can tell on camera. Yeah, so you see it shrinks back together again. It is a little rubbery, so to say. Okay, so let's get this going. It's still stretchy and still no fibers visible. And look at this, it's gorgeous again. I love it. There's a little crack here, but I think that's the center, so it doesn't really matter. And this side is perfectly smooth. I mean, of course, as with always with air dry clay, there's a little texture to the surface. You can see here. Oops, sorry, I'm blocking out the light. It started to rain again, so. Okay, so now I'm gonna try shaping this into a donut, and then we will see us again when I try to dust on some chalk pastels. Look at this. I mean, I only pushed in this and like rolled it around a little bit, but this is so smooth. It's a perfect shape, so I really like that. So let's try smoothing it out. Excuse me. So again, I would have to apply too much pressure to actually smooth this, but it's looking pretty well already. Please focus, camera, thank you. So I will try to use some water again. That's really unfortunate. I do not seem to be able to blend this away perfectly. And I already mentioned in a previous video of mine that I am a perfectionist, but the front looks fine, so I'm okay with that. So let's get out our chalk pastels and try coloring the donut. Okay, so you can't really see the difference. I'm so sorry, the camera doesn't pick it up. The donut came out a little too yellow again, but the shading is really nice. So yeah, let's try inserting a head pin. I'm not going to pre-poke a hole this time because I noticed that it's unnecessary. So this clay is really squishy, so I hope that the finished piece will stay squishy as well. So just a quick summary for now. So this clay is really white. It's a warm white. It is really flexible. It is squishy. I hope it stays squishy after it has dried. What else? There were no fibers visible whatsoever, except when you like pull it apart really far, like, and pull it thin, then you can actually see fibers. What's kind of funny about this stuff is that it's a little rubbery, so it will shrink again if you pull it apart. What else is there to say? It picks up color really well, so the acrylic paint as well as the chalk pastels, so that's really cool too. What else is there to say about this? It didn't stick to my glass surface. It did stick a little bit, but almost not noticeably, to the acrylic roller that I used. I could cut it with my scissors as well as my blade. It does feel natural to cut it with scissors, so that's really cool. If you cut it with a blade, you like, when you push it down, you can't like go back and forth really easily, because it doesn't stick to the work surface, the piece will just move with your blade, so you can't really like cut it. But when you press it just down, then you like have to pull the two pieces apart, which works perfectly fine because there were no fibers visible whatsoever. So the only problem that I encountered with this clay is that you cannot like blend out pieces. You can like make a really smooth ball in your hand and then like sculpt something from it, but if you want to add something, like make a bunny or something, I don't know, then you can't really smooth the pieces together. So that's a minus point. I did try using water, it did not work, maybe because of the rubbery consistency of this. If you use, I don't know, silicone or, I don't know, glue or something, it might work, but I would find it weird using materials like that on air dry clay. So let's just hope that the piece is dry. And another cool thing is that I was able to roll out snakes because of the rubbery consistency of this. So I can even review a shape like that. So let's wait for the pieces to dry. Again, I've marked the pieces for 12 and 24 hours. And then I will show you how bendable and these are and how squishy, hopefully, the donut will be. So see you then. So here are all the pieces next to each other. It's still moist in the back. It's a little sticky even. Oops, dropped it. Sorry guys. Ugh. Yeah, so this is totally not dry yet. And that's why this side breaks really easily. And I can't even bend this because as soon as I fold it, the two sides like stick together and I can't like get them apart easily again. So yeah, I'm not gonna try bending this any further. So let's try this piece. And again, this is still a little moist in the back, but it looks pretty good to me. Again, the sticky sides stick together obviously, but it doesn't break. It feels really good, but I can rip it apart. This, oh my gosh, it's squishy. So awesome. I'm really excited how the donut will turn out. I'm not gonna squish it yet because it's a thicker piece, but I can like move this around however I like and it doesn't rip or anything or break. So 12 hours for a thin piece or a thin snake like this are more than enough for the Miniature Sweet home brand, and it's squishy. And this dried really weird, so it's like the middle part is attached to the work surface and then the sides curled up. And what I don't like about this clay, you can tell, it is shiny and I don't know why. So this feels a little like, it still feels rubbery like the clay was in its uncured state. So I think this is not ready yet. So let me put that back. And the same with this. I mean, what is this? And this too. I mean, this surface feels like satin and this feels rubbery. I mean, I don't know if it's cured yet or not. I think I'm gonna leave it for another day and show you then, because these feel like they're not cured at all yet. The strip does feel cured and I can move it around in my hands and my fingers and it's not breaking or anything, so that's really cool. Let's try pulling it apart, but yep, it came apart. But it does hold its shape really well, so thinner pieces do work with this clay. It's a Miniature Sweets home brand, and again, I will let this dry for another couple of days, but here the same problem. Where it touched the surface, there is a shine to it, and I do not like that. So to avoid this, I will probably like make a loop or at least a hook here and let this dry hanging of something to avoid this shiny spot here, because I don't like that at all. So here is the Miniature Sweet clay, and right now this is one of my favorites. Oh, by the way, I didn't try that out, but with the Hearty clay the pin doesn't come out, so it's durable in that respect. So now moving on to the Miniature Sweet clay. So I do really like this clay. It is squishy and I really love that. But I'm gonna come to the donut in a second. And I let my husband feel this and he was like, yeah, right, so what? And I was just so excited that this clay is so lightweight and so squishy. But whatever. The only huge minus, look at this. So I think it shrank a little bit while drying, because I did like smooth the pieces to the surface that I wanted them to dry on, and it is all shiny on the back side, so that's not nice. That's the only thing that I dislike about this clay. And this surface feels like satin, and this feels a little more rubbery. I don't know, like, I don't know. It feels weird, but whatever. Again, this clay does feel a little bit like plastic, so not like paper clay, but that might be because there's a difference between paper clay and other air dry clays. So yeah, and I'm bending and bending and bending. I mean, there might be, it might be broken like beneath the surface, but it ripped in another place, so. It does rip, but I have to pull really hard. So it is very durable. So that's a huge plus. Let's see if there's fibers visible. Nope, no fibers. I don't know if any of you guys have ever used this clay to make Decoden whipped cream. If you did, please let me know in the comments below, because I will not make that a part of this review series. So let's have a look at the thinner strips. Of course, they rip apart really easily. And again, there is this shiny side to them where they touch the work surface. But I don't even feel that it broke beneath the surface, so that's really cool. And it is a little stretchy, a little. See that? But then it rips. So it is durable in that respect. So let's have a look at the little thingies that I made. Again, they are squishy. So I really like that about this clay. And I can just tear it out and it stays, so it's really cool. But again, it does rip. I mean, it is a little stretchy at first, but then it will rip if you pull it too hard. Yeah. So anyways, I already mentioned this is really squishy, so I love that. I love it. It just... I don't have squishies at home, and I never understood the obsession with squishies, but no, I do, because it's just so much fun squishing this all over the place. I do like the coloring of this. What I don't like, and also didn't like, was that I could not like get this part smooth right here. I mean, if you're making donuts and the necklace is worn like this, nobody will see the back probably, but it's still not nice. It's still something that customers might look at, so yeah. I don't know a technique. If anyone knows how to smooth out Miniature Sweets home brand, please do let me know. Let's see if the head pin holds. Yep, looking good. I'm only pulling with my fingers, but I should probably use pliers, but I'm not gonna bother. It did dig in deeper into the clay, so there's like 1 or 2 millimeters room between the head pin and where it was at the beginning before I pulled, but still I think that this will hold, so that's a really good thing. Let's look. Let me get a thicker piece. It's becoming sticky right away. So it does feel sticky, but I'm not getting any residue on my fingers, so that's nice. I mean, there's tiny amount of fibers, but that might be from the other clay, so it does get tacky, but it's not like my fingers stick to it, so that's a huge plus. So this is really one of my favorites right now, just because it's very durable. It doesn't break when you bend it. It is a little stretchy, and it's squishy, and I love that. So a really good brand. I was actually surprised because I'm kind of skeptical towards home brands, but this is a really good air dry clay, so I would definitely recommend this one. So let's look at the Sophie and Toffee clay.